Michael C. Hall's Dexter final curse is finally over. You know what's wild? For over a decade, every time Michael C. Hall's Dexter tried to give us a final, it ended in disaster. Like, think back, Season 8. That lumberjack ending was so hated it became a meme. New Blood. It was supposed to redeem everything. And instead it felt rushed, hollow, and left us questioning if the writers ever understood Dexter in the first place. But now, finally, Dexter Resurrection has pulled off the impossible. The curse is broken. And I don't say that lightly. Because if you've been following me here on Breakdown Epic, you know I've ranted about the Dexter final curse before. I joked once that it was like Dexter had his own dark passenger in the writer's room sabotaging every final episode. But this time it feels like that shadow finally got put down. Here's my question for you right out of the gate. Why did it take 3 finales? Yes, 3. For Michael C. Hall's Dexter to finally get it right. And what makes Resurrection different in a way that it not only worked, but left fans and critics cheering instead of screaming into Reddit threads at 3 a.m. Because let's be real, Dexter fans have trauma. We've been burned before. Some of us even swore off the franchise after New Blood. I personally remember watching that finale, staring at the screen and thinking, oh no, they actually did it again. And yet, here I am, episode 10 of Resurrection, leaning forward, heart pounding, muttering no way, as it all came together. So what changed? That's the mystery. That's the forbidden knowledge we're going to dig into today. And trust me, you want to stick with me, because by the end of this breakdown, you'll see exactly how Resurrection not only saved Dexter, but may have set the stage for something even bigger. But before we open up those secrets, let's talk about the curse itself. Because yes, it's real. Dexter's original run, 8 seasons of highs and lows, but when it ended, fans revolted. The lumberjack Dexter, memes practically defined an era of TV disappointment. Then came New Blood. We were promised redemption, a finale that would finally give closure. Instead, it left Harrison in a weird moral limbo, and Dexter dead in a way that felt both rushed and unearned. Twice in a row, Michael C. Hall's swan songs ended with people angry, divided, exhausted. That's not a finale, that's punishment. So when Resurrection was announced, people were skeptical. Here we go again. Right? But then something unexpected happened episode by episode. It kept delivering. The characters had depth. The pacing was sharp. The dark passenger wasn't just a gimmick. It felt integrated into the story again. And then came the final episode 10. A final so clean, so thrilling, and so satisfying that even long, burned fans finally exhaled and said, okay, they did it. And listen, if you're new here, this is where I tell you, don't just watch from the shadows like Dexter in Miami Harbor. Hit subscribe. Because every week we break down these shows, we pull back the curtain on the secrets the writers don't want you to notice. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next for this franchise. Now, let's dive into the forbidden knowledge. Did you notice that Resurrection has the second highest Rotten Tomatoes score of the entire franchise? 95%. That's just 1 point below the legendary Season 2, the one that gave us the ice truck killer reveal. Critics aren't just giving polite claps here, they're saying, this is Dexter back at its peak. And for once, fans agree. That's the rarest feat of all, a finale that united us instead of dividing us. But here's the eerie twist: Michael C. Hall himself has always been part of amazing finales. His HBO series 6 Feet Under, universally praised as one of the best endings in TV history. Which makes you wonder, was it really Michael C. Hall who was cursed, or was it Dexter? Think about it. Dexter as a character almost resists closure. He's the serial killer who got away with it, the man who lived 2 lives, the monster in the mask. How do you end that? With punishment, with redemption, with death. Every option feels incomplete. That's why the curse lingered so long. But in Resurrection they found the balance. They gave us thrills, closure, and here's the secret. They left just enough doors open for the story to continue without betraying the finale. I want to pause here and throw it back to you. What was your reaction watching the final moments of Resurrection? Were you relieved, shocked, maybe even a little emotional? Drop it in the comments. I'm curious if your pulse was racing as fast as mine when the credits rolled. And speaking of emotions, let's be honest, Dexter has always been about duality. The scientist and the killer, the father and the monster. Even we as fans are torn. Do we want him punished? Or do we secretly root for him to keep going? That's the tension the finale nailed. It didn't pick a cheap answer. It respected the character's complexity while giving us a thrilling ride. Now here's the twist that nobody's talking about. Original Sin, the prequel, also had a strong finale. It brought back Brian Moser. It played with deep lore. And it gave us a taste of early Dexter. But here's the forbidden knowledge, because it got cancelled. Resurrection now carries the entire weight of the franchise's future. That's a scary thought, but also an opportunity. Imagine this: what if Resurrection Season 2 gets greenlit and suddenly we're in uncharted waters? A Dexter show that's not cursed but blessed. A franchise that doesn't just survive, but thrives. Wouldn't that be the most shocking twist of all? Alright, let's go deeper. Because if you think the final curse ending is the whole story, you're only scratching the surface. Dexter Resurrection didn't just fix the mistakes of the past. It might have secretly rewritten the DNA of the entire franchise. Let me throw a question at you. What's more terrifying, a finale that kills Dexter, or a finale that leaves him alive? Think about it. If you kill him, you close the book, but risk backlash from fans who wanted him to keep going. If you leave him alive, you risk endless messy returns. That's why the curse existed, because every option was a trap. But resurrection, it threaded the needle. It gave us closure without closing every door. It ended in a way that felt earned, satisfying, and shocking, yet it left breadcrumbs. Forbidden breadcrumbs. And fans, we are the ones who get to follow them. Here's one breadcrumb most people missed. Michael C. Hall didn't just show up as Dexter again. He embodied the character with an awareness of the past failures. Did you catch that little smirk, that quiet pause before the last scene cut to black? That wasn't just Dexter in character. That was Hall himself almost saying, "This time, we got it right." Now, I know some of you are gonna comment, "Sophia, you're reading too much into it. A smirk is just a smirk." But come on. We've been living with this franchise for years. You and I both know the writers are too deliberate to let an ending rest on coincidence. That smirk was the ghost of every finale before it, finally laid to rest. Let's make it interactive for a second. Imagine you're the showrunner of Resurrection. You're holding the pen, staring at the page. Do you kill Dexter again? Do you let him live? Do you bring back Harrison? Or do you end it clean and trust the audience to fill in the blanks? What choice would you have made? Drop your alternate finale in the comments. I'll be reading every single one because honestly, your theories are half the fun of making these videos. Speaking of theories, let me pitch you one of mine. What if the so-called curse wasn't really about finales at all? What if it was about perspective? Every bad ending was trying to define Dexter's morality for us. Season 8 said, he lives in exile. New Blood said, he dies at Harrison's hand. Both of those robbed us of the messy, contradictory beauty of the character. But Resurrection did the forbidden thing. It let Dexter exist in his own contradictions, and it let us decide what it meant. That's why it worked. And here's where it gets juicy. The cancellation of Original Sin wasn't just a loss. It might have been the best thing to happen to Resurrection. Think about it, without Original Sin competing for focus, Resurrection becomes the flagship. It's no longer just a sequel. It's the Dexter timeline now. That gives the writers freedom to expand the story however they want. Spin-offs, continuations, maybe even a Harrison return that actually works this time. Let me throw another hypothetical your way. What if Harrison isn't gone? What if Season 2 brings him back, older, darker, with unfinished business? Imagine Dexter having to confront not just his dark passenger, but the living embodiment of his past mistakes. Would you watch that? Because I'd binge it in one night, no hesitation. And listen, I'll roast myself for a second here. Remember when I swore after New Blood that I was done? That I wouldn't get sucked back into the Dexter cycle of hope and disappointment? Yeah, I lied. I'm back. You're back. We're all back. And you know what? For once, I don't regret it. This finale has already entered the pantheon of great TV recoveries. You've seen shows tank their endings before. Game of Thrones, anyone. Yeah, still hurts. But Dexter did something even rarer. It tanked twice, then came back for a third swing and nailed it. That's like missing 2 free throws, the crowd booing, then sinking a half-court shot at the buzzer. So where do we go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Paramount hasn't confirmed Season 2 yet, but with Resurrection pulling a 95% Rotten Tomatoes score and dominating streaming charts, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The franchise has momentum again, and if they're smart, they'll ride it. Here's a callback for my longtime viewers. Remember when I said in my New Blood breakdown that Dexter's story could only end in 2 ways? Justice or legacy? Well, guess what? Resurrection proved me wrong. It gave us a third option: evolution. Dexter's story doesn't have to end, it just has to transform. So let's close this out the breakdown epic way, with a little humor. Imagine if Dexter had Twitter during his finals. Season 8 Dexter would have tweeted, "Lumberjack life chose me, fuck dark passenger." New Blood Dexter. Well, that escalated quickly. Funfather Sues. And Resurrection Dexter. He'd probably just post a smirking selfie with the caption, "Told you the curse was over." At the end of the day, this finale gave Michael C. Hall something priceless: peace with his most iconic role. It gave fans something even rarer: satisfaction. And if there's one forbidden truth we've learned, it's this. Sometimes the third time really is the charm. So let's keep this conversation alive. Do you think Resurrection truly broke the curse? Or are we setting ourselves up for another heartbreak in Season 2? Be honest. Roast me in the comments if you think I'm too optimistic. I can take it. And hey, if you've watched this far, you're officially part of the Breakdown Epic family. You know what to do. Hit that like button, share this with a friend who still has trauma from the Lumberjack ending, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Because one thing's for sure in the world of Dexter, the dark passenger isn't gone. He's just waiting. And so are we.